Carol Oates, speaking on her latest book about boxing. We'll have that for you along with our regular features. Fashion Focus with clothing designer Mary Louise Cooper and prom gowns. County Agricultural Agent Peggy Ballister Howells and good advice for getting those vegetable gardens underway. Consumer Advocate Adrian Eisner with information about asbestos. And we'll end with our Township Council review. But first, a quick rundown of what's on Channel 8 next week. Monday at 10 a.m., it's Look Great, Feel Great with Lenore Kulik and Ways to Slim Down with Aerobics. At 10:30, Target with host Paula Durant and her guest from the Office on Aging, Cynthia Schechter and Sharon Riley Morrissey. Tuesday at 7 p.m. brings you In Print from the Beverly Hills Library. At 7:30 p.m., it's Let's Talk Health and a discussion on the latest in joint replacements with host Ken Shalhoub and his guest Dr. Stephen Freed. At 8 p.m. Tuesday, it's You and Your Money and how the Tax Act affects real estate investors. Wednesday at 3 p.m., it's Stories for the Kids. At 7:30 p.m., Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Joseph Sweeney, hosts Spotlight on Education with guests Anna Rice and Joanne Magistro speaking on alcohol and drug abuse. Thursday, we'll be back at 7 and 8 p.m. for an all-new This Week in East Brunswick. And be sure to check our Channel 8 program guide for repeats of all of our shows. Last Friday, the Township held its annual Arbor Day ceremony, with 2 red spire pear trees donated by the Environmental Commission and the East Brunswick Women's Club. The program gathered around the flagpole at the Municipal Building and began with a few words from the new Director of Recreation and Parks, Judith Lubline.
And I'm delighted that this is my first official function. I would have liked a little better weather conditions, but welcome. I would like to say just in my first 2 weeks that I've really been very impressed with the Township's commitment to the park system and also to the shade tree program. It's certainly obvious when you look around in the volunteer park today. Just a little bit of insight. This reminds me very much of my last Arbor Day celebration, which I'm afraid was in grade school, when we were asked to memorize Joyce Kilmer's poem, Trees. And so it brings up some fond memories. And I just found out this morning that Joyce Kilmer was a native of New Jersey. So certainly the inspiration must have come from our beautiful state. And I can certainly understand why, seeing the flowering trees today. I'd like to first recognize Mayor William Fox.
Thank you. We probably had our first Arbor Day celebration about the time that Judy was in grade school. But at any rate, this is always a happy time. I think that over the years we pointed out the effort that goes into maintaining our trees in East Brunswick. It's a real asset to the community. I'd invite you to walk around Volunteer Park and talk to some of the staff about the trees that have been planted here over the years that we've been celebrating Arbor Day. It's kind of sobering when you see how large they are now, given how big they were how small they were when we planted them. But there are 2 right here by you that were planted as part of Arbor Day ceremonies here. And there are others throughout the park, and they really have added to the appearance of the municipal complex and the enjoyment of the people who come here. It's a pleasure, again, to be designated Tree City USA. It's an award that doesn't come to every community. We're real pleased to get it. I want to extend my appreciation to the people who really do the work, who are our shade tree crew and our other parks people who work so hard to keep the trees in our community in good shape.
With the raising of the Tree City USA flag, awarded by Charles Albert, Regional Forester for the DEP Division of Parks and Forestry, our own manager of the Division of Parks, Tom Williams, told of a few other activities going on in East Brunswick.
The township has just recently planted 167 street trees as part of our annual street tree replacement program conducted through our shade tree activity. And in addition to that, we have a Boy Scout troop and a Cub Scout troop that are planting over 500 pine seedlings in Community Park along the Dallenbach Lakes to help control some of the erosion along the banks in that area.
Hello, I'm Cynthia Schachter, a manager of the East Brunswick Office on Aging, and I'm here to welcome you today to the dedication of the Senior Citizens Outdoor Recreation Center. The construction of this was made possible by a loan under the Green Acres plan of the state of New Jersey, and it was designed by the Planning and Community Development Department of the Township of East Brunswick. It provides picnic tables with umbrellas, some beautiful landscaping, bocce and shuffleboard courts. We also have a croquet set and some other outdoor games available, and they will be here ready for your pleasure if you are a senior citizen and a resident of the township at any time. Come and join us.
As part of the East Brunswick Library's 20th birthday celebration, a number of events have been taking place throughout the year. This past Sunday, a special discussion with author Joyce Carol Oates took place at the Senior Citizen Center. Before Ms. Oates spoke, Township Administrator Gregory Fahrenbeck had a surprise presentation for Jim Hess for his 30 years of dedication to free public library services.
Without Jim's efforts, this best of the East Brunswick services and probably the most used and beloved of libraries, public libraries in the state of New Jersey, probably wouldn't exist. Jim, would you come up here? On behalf of the library, the Friends of the Library, and all of those who are associated with this institution, we would like to present you with possibly the loveliest watch I've ever seen. The watch is inscribed with Jim's name on it and has the logo of the library at the top, and you really must see it before the end of the evening.
There's a time when words fail you, and this is one of those times. I do have to say that the effort that I have been able to put into this library has been one of the most satisfying experiences of my life. It's been great to see the way it has developed from an idea in a few people's minds to those things that Greg just described. I'm very, very privileged, and I certainly am grateful for this recognition. Thank you.
And now here's author Joyce Carol Oates discussing her most recent book on boxing.
As a way of introducing this, and you may have some questions about it afterward, I know it's just not a subject most people are interested in, and what surprised me is that there were as many people interested as it turned out that there were, even women. Shouldn't I say that? Sounds a little sexist, I guess. But I've gone around and read from the book just this spring since it came out. I've gotten so many invitations, and often afterward people come up to me, and there'll be women who say they love boxing also, but they felt they were a little strange. And I met so many writers who are interested in boxing, particularly poets, male poets. I have a couple of epigraphs here. The first is from Mike Tyson, who says, "Outside of boxing, everything is so boring." And the other quote is from George Santayana, the great philosopher. Quote, "Another world to live in is what we mean by religion. Boxing is a subject large enough to accommodate many disparate, even mutually exclusive readings. Like any ritualized action in which risk would seem to outweigh reward, the species of play to which anthropologists give the term deep play, you familiar with that? I can just say parenthetically, deep play means in anthropological terms a form of play that human activity without any utilitarian value. And the fact that it's deep play means that the risks are so much in excess of the rewards that you don't know why they're doing it. It seems very irrational. I talk about boxing in my book as a form of madness or a paradigm of insanity. It's a kind of mimicry of murder, but also of suicide. Anyway, this ritualized action in which risk seems to outweigh reward, species of deep play. The participants appear to the neutral observer to be, if not mad, touched with madness. Though men may fantasize entering the ring, disrobing themselves of the costumes, regalia, and symbols of their ego selves, and meeting an adversary who is there, the ideal, dream adversary, to be overcome, virtually no man would take such a step, take such a risk. Boxing, with its myriad rules, regulations, customs, and superstitions, is a sport, a so-called sport to some, in which masculine fantasies of aggression of both giving and receiving hurt are uniquely dramatized. That it is a ritualized action and hardly the real thing, if real means frenzied fighting with the intention of inflicting great bodily harm, must be kept in mind if the visible fight is to be seen as an adumbration of the invisible fight, the fight that will not be allowed to occur because we are civilized people. Jack Dempsey once complained, you're in there for 3-minute rounds with gloves on and a referee. That's not fighting.
After Ms. Oates spoke, she entertained questions from the audience and graciously autographed copies of her book. If you haven't yet picked up your copy, stop up at the library to check one out. Now let's join Mary Louise Cooper for Fashion Focus.
Hi, I'm Mary Louise Cooper, custom clothing designer. Welcome to Fashion Focus. Young ladies visiting the shops with their mothers and girlfriends for prom gowns may find their selection to be somewhat limited. And there's always the fear of buying a gown in a local shop and having someone show up wearing the same. Selection can be as limitless as your imagination, full or narrow, and not necessarily in a pastel tone. Today we'll be looking at some gowns for girls in our local area. Here is a classic shape with modern stylish accents. The skirt portion is sewn in one with a layer of net. This helps the fabric hold its shape, otherwise it can easily be flattened. This crinoline will be put on to support a ruffled underskirt. Very often in ready-to-wear, net is used right next to the skin, which is very uncomfortable. We may ask why. The amount of net layers is dependent on how poofy a look is desired. This is a gown with sleek styling and unique details. A peplum is added to accentuate the narrow look. It is horsehair edged for added shape. We've used lace accents in the bodice area and as an interesting hem treatment to give the appearance of a lace underskirt. The jacquard fabric lends itself to an elegant look, quite different. The prom experience should be both memorable and enjoyable. It is usually the first opportunity for a girl to express her own sense of style. Until next time, this is Mary Louise Cooper for Fashion Focus.
This is Peggy Ballister-Howells, Middlesex County Agricultural Agent, and today we're going to give you some tips on how to plant some of the early spring vegetables. The earliest ones have to be tolerant of cold weather because you can still expect some frosts into early, sometimes even the middle of May. The more cold-tolerant crops are your cold crops, such as broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale. And lettuce is also fairly cold-tolerant, not quite as cold-tolerant as the cabbage family crops, but can go in at this time of year. One of the problems that you run into with these crops is a small critter that is in the ground called a cutworm. And when planting these crops, you want to try and protect against cutworms. Now, right here we have some broccoli plants. And you can see I have a 6-pack of broccoli. And this is called Green Comet, and you can see it has a small stem here. That's where the cutworms will come and attack. Now, one very simple trick is to take a little strip of newspaper and to wrap it around the stem. What happens is it protects the cutworm against the cutworm from actually chewing onto the stem. They'll come, you'll plant one day, the next day you'll get up, and they'll all be laying right on the ground, cut across right at the ground level. So you wrap the little stem so that the cutworms can't get in there. And then you dig a hole in your prepared bed. The lime and fertilizer should go in at the time of preparing the bed. and then you can plant your little broccoli plant. Now, this is not the only method that you can use to protect against cutworms. There's another method. This is actually the ring from a mason jar. It has no center in it. You could also use tuna fish cans or cat food cans with both the upper and lower lids removed. Now, you could take another broccoli plant. This is called putting a collar around the plant. This one doesn't want to come out here. Okay. I'm going to plant this one over here. Now, you can plant fairly close together because this is a raised bed, and you can put this in the ground. You want to pack it in, not too hard, and then slip this around. Now, this is a mechanical method of preventing the cutworm from coming in and laying its eggs at the base, and from the cutworm coming in and chewing off the plants. Now, there are other things that can be planted at this time of year. This is cauliflower. This would go in the spring at this time as well. Be very careful to label your plants when you put them in the ground, because at this side, and when they're this small, it's very difficult to tell if one's a broccoli and one's a cauliflower. So make sure that you label your crops. Very often when you purchase them, they come with appropriate labels. You want to make sure that you use them. Other plants that can go in at this time are some of your lettuces. We do not recommend planting head lettuce in this part of the country because it tends to bolt very soon and it's not as much fun for the backyard. With leaf lettuce, you can harvest a little at a time. These are two varieties of leaf lettuce. This one is particularly interesting because it's a red variety called red sails. It can be harvested a leaf at a time, and this one was an All-America winner. It's one of my favorites. It's very good in salad and works great on sandwiches. So I think that about wraps things up for today, and we'll see you next week, and we're going to talk about planting an espaliered tree.
Hello, and welcome to Consumer Aware. I'm Adrienne Eisner, Director of the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. The Consumer Product Safety Commission warns consumers about the hazard of exposure to products containing asbestos. These products include the following: asbestos paper and millboard, asbestos cement sheet, asbestos wood and coal stove door gaskets, asbestos laboratory gloves and pads, asbestos stove mats and iron rests, central hot air furnace duct conductors containing asbestos. Some of these products still are for sale or may be in consumers' homes. Handling these products may release asbestos fibers, and breathing asbestos is known to cause cancer. The risk of asbestos-related cancer may be substantially higher among smokers at the levels of asbestos encountered in homes. If these products must be handled, please follow the following precautions. Wear a respirator approved for use with asbestos. Do not dry sweep. Use wet procedures for cleanup. Do not use power-operated or other tools to cut or drill, because this can create respirable dust levels. Keep these products out of the reach of children. If you need further information about asbestos-containing products, please contact us at the East Brunswick Consumer Affairs Office. The telephone number is 390-6954. Our office is located in the municipal building, and we are open from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. Thank you for joining me on Consumer Aware. See you again next time.
The Township Council meeting of the 27th began with proclamations by Mayor Fox. The mayor designated the month of May Older Americans Month in the township, and in observance of New Jersey Volunteer Recognition Week, Cable Channel 8's volunteer hosts were commended for their contributions to our community. Also honored were the members of the township's all-volunteer rescue squad. The mayor commended the members of the squad for their selfless service to the community and urged residents to contribute generously to the squad's fundraising drive in May. Internationally, the victims of the Holocaust are commemorated during the last week of April. Mayor Fox proclaimed that in East Brunswick, the week of April 26th will be known as Days of Remembrance of Victims of the Holocaust. Library Director David Weil accepted the proclamation on behalf of the National Council of Christians and Jews. The council voted unanimously to give the township's Department of Planning and Community Development the authority to create a uniform system for numbering buildings and houses in East Brunswick. They also passed an ordinance which will give residents 1 year to display their house numbers so that they are clearly visible from the street, with numbers which are at least 4 inches in height. Both ordinances were strongly supported by representatives from the township's fire companies and rescue squad. All stated that it is often difficult for emergency services personnel to respond to calls because of a lack of order in the numbering and because individual house numbers are impossible to find from the street. The fire company's rescue squad and the Director of Public Safety also strongly urged the council to support the purchase of land for a fire training facility in East Brunswick. Councilman William Kirk noted that the land being considered as a site for the training facility might be the same land now being considered by the county for the expansion of the Edgeboro landfill. The council agreed to postpone a decision on purchasing the land until the county has made its intentions clear. The council appropriated $300,000 for a new telephone system for the municipality and $50,000 for the preparation of an updated township master plan. A resolution was also passed which reduces the Board of Education's 1987-88 school budget by $602,000. That's all for this week. We'll return next Thursday with a look at the library's 20th birthday party. Just a reminder, the party will be held Sunday, May 3rd from noon to 5, and you're invited. There will be special surprises for residents who share their birthday with the library. If you were born on May 1st, be sure to bring proof to the party at the library.